we need to strike. The idea that on the one hand there is value in information and there's value in control, but on the other hand that everybody wants to be copying these materials, everybody wants to distribute these materials, information wants to be free. So something wants to be expensive and wants to be free at the same time. And that, I think, is a fundamental point that needs to be recognized in any copyright law or author's law or contributor's law that regulates how information should be copyable when people have the right to use works that other people created or contributed to. Thank you. So, earlier this year I attended a lecture by the Canadian legal scholar Abraham Dressenauer, who proposed that we now go to the situation where it's not just one person, but many contributors work on these things. So it's not just one person in a silo writing a book and throwing it over the hedge. It's lots of people that work together, that contribute together, that have a dialogue with each other, contributing from the one hand, from the other hand, from the third hand, from the fourth hand, in creating those works and making those works available. And he proposes the idea that all these different authors should be put on the same line. All these contributors should have equal rights in the work that they create. And if you have a way that you can add value to that work, if you have a way that allows a powerful new way or a socially valuable new way of exploiting these works, you should be allowed to do so. We should focus around the conversations that happen with these intellectual works. So not just, I have a picture, therefore it's mine, but no, I have a picture and it's on Flickr or any other site, and some people have created a great way of putting pictures to music, for example. That's a great new conversation that's being started, a new way of exploiting these works. That's a great new thing, it's socially valuable, and it should be allowed. I have no idea how to do it, maybe some people have ideas. Right now we cannot do it, but why can we not do it? So this is the conversation, putting people that use works on equal footing with the authors, making everybody a contributor, as someone just said, and allowing everybody to use, exploit, and distribute these works. And that, if you put it together, is, in my view, a much better way of working with copyrighted works, or I should say, working with creative works, than the property thinking that we have right now. And yeah, to put it in the words of Dressenauer, you should be entitled to use other people's work if you make sure that you respect the equal authorship of all the other people that contribute to the work. So it's no longer the first creator that decides what happens. It's all the people that contribute to the work that should be allowed to work with these materials. And if you have a new way of exploiting that work, if you start a new conversation, as it were, like putting pictures to music, you become a contributor, you become a new author, and you should have these rights to do it. Basically, if you take other people's work and you put your own name on it, you would be still violating copyright, because then you are repeating an existing conversation. You are not respecting the authorship of other people. But if you do something new with the work, if you transform it into another channel, if you open up a novel way or a novel market, you should have the right to do that. And this, I believe, is a great way of moving forward and creating a new author's law or a contributor's law that allows everybody to use these works as happening today, and it still gives the author some of the respect he deserves and some ways of exploiting these works himself. Yes, please.
It's a nice philosophical discussion about information that wants to be free, but isn't the problem that you're looking to find one way to manage the information and sharing the picture of my cat and protecting a $60 billion movie? I think those goals are not compatible in a way. There's too much difference in what people want to, how do you say it? The goal of the laws you're trying to find here.
Could you repeat that?
Well, it's partly philosophical. It's about information want to be free, but there's also parties who just want to protect expensive things to make. There's movies that cost millions of dollars, and at this time it's the same laws protecting those two things, and they're just not compatible.
So right now you see indeed $60 million movies being made, and the companies that produce them saying they're our property. And we would not be making these expensive movies if we did not have the classic copyright.
Yeah, or
and
just somebody writing a book, it's still the same thing. It's one person making a lot of effort to make this one thing. And it's not compatible with somebody just making a picture of his cat and putting it on Flickr.
In a sense, that's true. But it goes back to the original question, why would you create works and how much effort would you put into it? And what kind of model would you have of recovering that investment? So right now, for example, Hollywood could not work under this model because they are built around the model that says if you create it, you own it, and everybody that thinks about the movie needs to pay money. That's basically, well, a little exaggerated, but that's basically what it is. Yeah. It's only if you hum the tune that you have to pay, if you do it out loud. But I don't think it's a good justification of saying, well, the industry is built this way, therefore we must go on forever like this. If the underlying assumptions change, like it's difficult to copy things, or there will only be a few creators, if those assumptions are no longer true, then we need to change the laws, and we need to change, well, the industry will have to change, it will have to adapt to that. Yeah. And we will maybe not get $60 million Walt Disney movies. No. Well, right now we are seeing promotion of active euthanasia, for example, so yes, if it becomes socially acceptable to do things, I don't think the law should stand in the way that was 100 years ago. Walter.
Allow me to ask two questions in a row. First of all, let me be a bit pedantic about your remark about photographing you. Taking a picture is never infringement. Publishing may be infringement in case of pictures of individual persons. Just to make sure that no one goes away with the impression that making a picture of Arnoud right now might be copyright infringement. Publishing it might be. And to get back to my real question, would you think that the old system, as we know it now, might coexist with new systems if you would reintroduce the American concept of registration of copyright?
The concept of?
Register. Copyright registers. Yeah, so you could only enforce your copyright or have a copyright in the current sense of property if you took the effort to register your works at the copyright office.
So this is the registration of copyright. It's one of the ideas also promoted by Larry Lessig. The idea there is, well, right now, for example, if you want to use 40,000 different works, it's impossible because you have to hunt down and get permission from 40,000 people, and this is impossible. So you could streamline this process and say, I'm going to set up a big copyrightpedia, and everybody can register themselves, and if you need 40,000 permissions, well, you just search through the database, takes you an afternoon, and then you have the 40,000 authors. That works for a certain extent, but still you have this problem that you need to get permission to do your own creative stuff.
It will be even more than just tracking down or solving the rights clearance problem. It would also solve the problem of the gentleman earlier on who said, please go away, because I still want to earn royalties out of my books. Yeah. It would allow him to say, well, I want to keep this default I have now, and it will allow others to pick another default. It would only give him the tiny burden of registering his books.
Yeah. So you could say, well, right now, I think I have the next quote, with the idea with Creative Commons set up as an alternative model, if you want to play with the Creative Commons model and you want to give away your work for free, go ahead and do it. You want to write open source and give it away for free, go ahead, do it. But we are Microsoft, or we are Adobe, or we are Warner, and we want to do it this way, and the law gives us this model, so we are going to do it this way. In principle, I would agree with that because it's the most liberal view. It allows people to do it in the way they want. But the problem here is that it assumes the silo model. So you want to write your books in your silo, go ahead. We want to write our books in our silo, go ahead. And I'm saying there should not be silos anymore.
No, my question was apparently not clear enough. How would you feel about a model where you could either pick the default of, let's say, one flavor of Creative Commons if you did nothing, or by just a single act